This is the Introduction to Inkscape tutorial. The purpose of this tutorial is to introduce the basics of the Inkscape interface. Before you begin, you should be familiar with your computer and already have Inkscape installed. By the end of this tutorial, you will have learned the differences between bitmap images and vector images. You will be able to start the Inkscape program and identify the parts of the Inkscape interface.
Bitmap versus vector.
Bitmap and vector are 2D graphic types. Bitmap images are made up of many pixels aligned in rows and columns. They are tiny square dots of color in a grid that makes up the picture. Vector graphics are made up of straight and curved lines that are defined by mathematical equations. At first, the graphics appear to be the same. So what's the difference? The size of a vector image can be increased or decreased to any degree, and the lines will remain crisp and sharp, both on screen and in print. When the size of a bitmap graphic is increased, the pixels become obvious. Lines become jagged. Each graphic type has its own advantages and disadvantages. Which one you use depends on what you want to do. Inkscape is used to create vector graphics. This section will cover how to start the Inkscape program. To start the Inkscape program, double-click the Inkscape icon on your desktop. The Inkscape window is displayed. Click the Maximize button to have Inkscape display full screen. The Inkscape interface. In this section, you'll learn about the parts of the Inkscape program. Inkscape has 3 preset views. View options can be selected at the bottom of the View menu. There's the Custom View. You'll notice some of the toolbars have changed positions. Then there's the Widescreen View. In this view, some of the toolbars have moved from the top of the screen to the right of the screen. And the Default View, which we'll be using for the rest of this tutorial. Located at the top of the screen is the menu bar. The menus in this toolbar provide options to perform common functions such as opening a file. The command bar provides shortcuts to options found in the menu bar. The toolbox contains tools used for selecting, drawing, and modifying objects on the canvas. Clicking on an icon in the toolbox selects a tool. Double-clicking a tool brings up the preference dialog box for that tool. Click the Close button to close the Inkscape Preferences dialog box. The Tool Controls bar displays options specific for the selected tool. Notice how the icons change in this toolbar as each tool is selected. The Snap bar displays options for snapping. Snapping is used to place objects precisely on the canvas. If any of the toolbars have a double arrow at the end of them, this means they have additional options. Click on the double arrow to view these hidden options. The color palette contains colors that can be used on the canvas. Color can be added to any selected object simply by clicking on the color in the color palette. The status bar is at the bottom of the screen and contains several areas with information. These areas are: the style indicator shows the fill and stroke of a selected object. The layer information section displays which layer is active and if the active layer is locked and visible. The notification region displays context-dependent information and can be very useful when using an unfamiliar tool. The pointer position displays the X and Y coordinates of the pointer, and the Z text box displays the zoom percentage of the canvas. The status bar also contains the window resize handle. Click and drag the handle to change the size of the Inkscape application window. The canvas is the drawing area where objects are placed and modified. The rulers surround the canvas and show the X and Y coordinates of the drawing. Click and drag the rulers onto the canvas to create guidelines. Guidelines are not saved as part of the graphic. The page is the output region for a printed page or exported bitmap. The canvas in Inkscape may look like this, but the page, when exported as a bitmap image, looks like this. In this tutorial, we have covered the differences between bitmap images and vector images, learned how to start Inkscape, and have identified the parts of the Inkscape interface.
This concludes the Inkscape tutorial.